Frankie, I was really happy with that. We've just got those couple of blokes that we need in the side, don't we? And that's what it's all about. You know, a Jack Martin coming back and a Zach Fisher. You know, Big Kerno would be handy too.
Certainly, especially when H does his shoulder or something like that.
Yeah. So that's what I looked at over the last 24 hours. That we're not getting slaughtered. We're not getting, but we are making silly mistakes, though, aren't we? And that's what that I'd like to, to get rid of those silly mistakes. And but that's when you've got your full complement of players in. And I've been asking that for quite a long time now. But as you put out to me, Frank, we just haven't had our full complement of players for the last 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, easily. Yep.
G'day guys, thanks for joining us. It's Carlton Live Western Bar here, and if you might have noticed, Frank and I are in the company of someone you all might be familiar with.
Of royalty.
Carlton Royalty has come to join us at our bar.
Western Australian Royalty.
Western Australian Royalty. G'day Buzz, thanks for joining us.
Hello Simone, and g'day Frank, and it's great to be here, and you've been trying to get me on here for a couple of weeks now, and well, I'm the one that's been trying to get on. He wouldn't let me on.
So our ratings need a boost too.
That's right. That's right. So no, absolute pleasure to be here, and we've got a great hour coming, I think.
I think so. So yeah, look, I guess the game was a little bit disappointing on the weekend.
Yeah, she was a touch frustrating.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear how people feel about the game.
Yeah. Well, as I said before, we're not getting slaughtered. I think that's the good part about it. But I'm still a little bit concerned, Frank, about our quickness of moving the ball, and probably getting rid of it. When we have got control of it, and you just can't give these good sides, can you, an opportunity to. And look, I go back 2 or 3 weeks when Jack Silvani hit the post twice against the Western Bulldogs. We could have gone 6 or 7 up at that stage. They wouldn't have got back. And
we did a fair job to give them that one back.
But it's called scoreboard pressure, isn't it?
But you're right. You're right. With a couple of extra on the board.
Exactly.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, to me, the first 10 minutes, I saw a lot of pressure from the Carlton side.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to that. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, look, Melbourne are a very good side, and they've been what, Frank, 6, 7 years in the making. That's what we've got to, I think, fall back on, is our members and supporters have got to realise that we haven't had that sort of side in the field that we can actually bank on. I can tell you, back in the 80s and 90s. We had 26, 27 players that could have played in those sides, and it was a real bonding, and if you want to had a spot in the side, you had to perform, and that's what it's all about at the moment. But it's a who's who of Carlton, isn't it? With the players out, Kerno, we haven't had him for 2 years, Simone, have we? Jack Martin, it cost us a lot of money, but wants to play for the club. That's a very big, important part of my thinking when I went to Carlton, all those years ago. I wanted to play for that jumper. The CFC was my thing that I wanted to play with, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But
you're
100% right.
This is what it is.
Yep.
You're quite right. And look, we took a loss. We didn't get the 4 points, unfortunately, against the Demons. And Buzz, you first played for the Waffle at the Demons, didn't you?
Well, just going back on that, it's been a tough month for us, though, hasn't it, Simone? It was a very tough month. We had, we beat Essendon, but we had the Western Bulldogs top, and then the D's top. I thought
the fixture's been a bit rough.
Well, I thought we performed pretty creditably. A lot of people have been disappointed, Frank. There's a lot of social talk saying, we did this wrong and that wrong and that wrong, but. You're not getting flogged by 60, 70, 80 points.
That's right. You touch on that. I mean, we went to the pub to watch it locally with one of my mates who's a West Coast supporter, right? Unfortunately. But I was sort of given out and, not happy about things. And even he said, he goes, man, you got to remember, bro, last years were getting pantsed by a hell of a lot more than 4 goals against the top team. So, and you put it into perspective for me. The game against the Bulldogs should have won that, no excuse. The game against Collingwood was disgusting. The game against Port Adelaide, we had another 10-goal swing. But when you put it into perspective like that, I thought, I think he's right. Last year we were getting pantsed a bit, especially early doors. But
One of my big bugbears was allowing teams to score 3, 4, 5, 6 goals in a row.
Yeah.
We've got to quell that, don't we? And David Parkin used to say that, my old coach, if they score 1 goal, okay, 2 goals, hang on, in a row, I mean.
Yeah.
If they score 3 and 4, we've got to tighten up. We've got to man up, get a man, stay on him, and let's quell that. Let's kick the next goal ourselves. And I think we've let ourselves down over the last couple of weeks on that. We've allowed sides to kick, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goals in a row, which really tells on the scoreboard.
And mentally, they can't come back from that. That's what it is. That you physically you can come back from it, but mentally, when you've had 6 kicked on you in a row, you lose a bit of motivation. You're just about shot.
And you can't give the good sides, opportunities to do that. You mentioned the Demons, I remember back in, the late 70s, early 80s, I played for the Perth Demons here in WA, and they were a very, very good side. We won 2 premierships in 76 and 77, and 78 was a fantastic year for myself and the club, and we were going to win hopefully the hat-trick of the premierships then, and the bloody wettest grand final in all football across Australia. Don't worry about the country bog ground. Subiaco Oval was just an absolute swimming pool, and there was a number 17 there. Just I can't remember his name, but he absolutely dominated the play. Never got the bloody Simpson medal. Just quietly, Carlton.
Who was the number 17?
Bazusto.
Oh, I know him. I'm sure. Is that the same fellow that played Carlton?
That's the same fellow, was it? It's the same.
Tell us more about your day.
Yeah, well, that in the zone, I was in the Perth zone at the time, and people love to hear the story about how were you drafted or how were you zoned. Well, I was zoned to the Perth Football Club. My father actually played there. I'll tell you some stories about my father in a minute, and there's a very good coincidental things that happened there. My father played for Perth, Frank, and played 65 games at Perth. I went to Perth as like a father-son rule and the zone. Played 5 years there, and had a very, very good rivalry with a bloke called Ken Hunter, which is behind me. You'll probably see that, ladies and gentlemen. And we had a fantastic duel, with the big high marks, and we did have it at Carlton as well. That's another story. And we went through, 1976. Was virtually my first year, Simone, and started to play some pretty good footy in a great team, and 77 come along. I kicked 70 odd goals from a half forward flank. Played in the premiership that year. Again, the next year kicked the same, but I was in a very good side, and there's a method to the story, because when I went to Carlton, I was in a very good side as well. So it all worked out pretty well. 1978 was, we just mentioned then, was a fantastic year for the club. I think we finished on top easily. But unfortunately, in the late 1978, that absolute storm hit the Perth area, and it was about 6 inches of water at that stage there, Frankie, and
which would have been pretty unheard of.
Well, it was, and slush and all that sort of thing. Phil Kelly played, Peter Spencer, all Brown Sandover medalists, and Barry Cable, would you believe, coached East Perth and played with Perth, of course, the Hall of Fame at Perth, and Ian Miller was a Simpson medalist and Sandover medalist too, and he played for East Perth as well. So unfortunately, we got beaten in that for 2 points in the dying stages. But it sort of went on. In 1978, Simone, I signed with North Melbourne. I don't know whether a lot of the West Australian fans knew that. I signed with North Melbourne via Ron Joseph, who was the guru of recruiting at that stage, Frank. And
they were good brown paper bag operators.
And there was a lot of coins in mine. There wasn't a lot in it, so
a couple of pennies,
40 or 50,000. So I signed with North Melbourne, and the Form 4, ladies and gentlemen, was a form that if you went to Melbourne, I had to play for North Melbourne, and that was it then. My father actually stopped me from going, Frank, and I played about 75, 80 games, and the next couple of years, I thought to myself, well, this is what I've got to do. I've got to do this and that, and improve my stamina and improve the weight, because they were going to bump me and and get me out of the contest, etc., etc. Now, 79, great year. At that stage, Frank, I was just ridiculously dominating the competition, and I thought to myself, it's time to go. It's time to go.
Yeah,
that was a joke, actually. You could have laughed.
Well, I was going to say, you said you played with all these great sides, but these great sides were great because you were in them.
Well, I don't know about
Yeah.
that. I don't know about that. But 1980 was, probably a standout. And Carlton come knocking on the door, and they said, Peter, look, we like the way you play footy. We've watched you for a couple of weeks. A bloke called Brian McMahon, who was our talent scout at the moment, Frank, and he said to me at the time, we are looking at you and Ken Hunter, and we want you to come over this year if you can, or next year, at the very latest. They flew me to Sydney, Simone. Not a lot of people know this. Carlton played Essendon in one of those glamour games on a Sunday in Sydney for the VFL at the stage as a sort of a glamour game. And they flew me to Sydney in the Sir Donald Bradman stand, and I signed for Carlton. I said to them, I can't sign another contract. I've given you Form 4 away. So what they did, they actually signed a guy called Peter Spencer and a guy called Phil Kelly, who's young Kelly's of the Giants' father. So they signed him. I said, okay, no worries. And I really wanted to play for Carlton. And, there's no secret that, I wanted to play with, alongside Wayne Johnston and Mark Cluer, and to put it on that, that line. So the end of 1980 come, and I just said to you, what the story was. I kicked 85 goals from centre half forward. I went to the Sandover Medal as a red hot favourite. I polled 5 frigging votes to me. You wouldn't believe it.
Absolutely right.
I walked out of the range. I smashed tables, and kicked things over and all that sort of thing. And then 3 weeks later, I went to the Perth one and I polled 7 bloody votes. And I got up there and I said, I'm going to the Mighty Blues next year, and no one's going to stop me. So. Anyway,
and there it was.
The story morphs in that David Parkin took over. You remember that all that kerfuffle, and they sacked Percy Jones, and late November, David Parkin rang Ken Hunter. Ken, I want you to come across early. I know you want to play for the club, and I wanted you to get the come over and get the culture, Simone, and the history and the just the general culture of the club. And Ken said, "I'll be fantastic. And I want to try you on a line now. Listen to this one, ladies and gentlemen. Bruce Dool, Val Perovic and Ken Hunter. Oh, gee, that sends shivers up my spine. Just thinking of that line.
Just starting to raise a sweat now.
And Ken said, Coach, I'll be there in the next couple of weeks. I'll get everything ready. Rang me the next day, Frank, and he said, Peter, I believe you want to come across and play with the Mighty Blues. And I want you to come over early and get used to the tradition and history and the culture of this great club. And I want to try you on a half-forward line. Wayne the Dominator Johnson, Mark McClure, and yourself. And again, and realistically, if people want to write in and say if there's any better half-back line in Australian football, I would want to know. And if Ken Hunter and Bruce Dool, Frank, are not in the top 5 half-backs of all time, I want you to tell me, the people that are.
No,
we've got a few people joining us. Pete,
have they? Yes, good.
Yes, so thanks for joining us, everybody. We've got Adrian O'Connor here. He would like you to know that he's still got his 82 jumper with the number 4 on it.
Oh, fantastic!
Isn't that awesome?
Well, I can tell you who's got the 82 premiership jumper. A bloke called Tony Barber, who was a absolute mad, tragic Carlton supporter who really nurtured me along, and with his sale of the century and all that sort of thing.
Sale of the century.
That's the one. And I rang Tony, Frank, about 3 or 4 or 5 months ago, and I said, Tony, how are you? And he wasn't sort of travelling too well, and he said, Pete, I've just auctioned off the number 4 jumper, and they got 15,000 for charity.
What?
So fantastic, fantastic, and I was really pleased with that. Great. And so Adrian,
tell me, did Tony give you any?
No, the charity got the whole lot, which is great, and which was very good. And if you recall, certainly, probably 10 years ago now, my daughter was battling cervical cancer, and we had to get an operation for her pretty quickly, and we found out pretty quick, and we had to sell the number 4 premiership jumper, which was the only jumper that I used for that year, which was the Mark of the Year jumper, the Goal of the Year jumper, and of course the premiership jumper, Frank. So some bloke gave me 25,000 for it, which we did us fantastically well, because my daughter actually beat the cervical cancer.
Great stuff. Nice work.
Terrific stories.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Dave Thomason. Thanks for joining us, Andrew Lake. He says, "G'day, Peter."
Andrew, great supporter of mine, Andrew. Yes, very good.
Kimberly Penpathy says hi with a big love heart.
Oh, hello, Kimberly.
JR says hi all.
JR.
Big
He's keeping an eye on us.
Johnny's
He is.
keeping an eye on us.
The boss likes to make
The
sure
boss.
things are going smoothly.
It's making sure.
It's a
He's
stand
probably
for
making sure me and Frank are looking after you. George Kiriakis says,
Georgie.
evening from the Goldfields. He's a WA bagger.
Oh, well, he'll have plenty of money to buy some of the things behind us. Now, explain to him what we have done there with those, Simone. We've actually, got a series 1 of these prints of a fantastic Carlton supporter over in Melbourne, Silvio, and he's done 10 up for us. But he's actually given us a series, and he's got number 4, which is mine, and number 9 of Kenny Hunter's.
Yeah.
So someone can actually write in if they want to, or put a bid in or something like that. And it's all signed. They're all signed, and if they want proof, I can easily give Kenny Hunter a ring, or myself. I'll give myself a ring and say if I signed it.
Good one. That's right. There you go, Buzz. Yeah, good Buzz. Just.
This one is especially for baggers in WA, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Isn't it, mate?
Yes. A few years ago, I'll tell you the story. Simone, you've been quite, a bit nasty on it with Carlton people, because Carlton people in WA miss out.
Yeah,
they miss out on a lot of the fantastic bits and memorabilia. Yeah. So I said to Silvio, would you please do 10 up for me and Kenny and myself, and of course the big Mark as well behind me. And he said, yes, I'll do that. About 5 years ago, Simone, they did the greatest Carlton marks of all time. Jezza, Sauce, myself, and Andy Walker, and of course Eddie. WA Blue Baggers never got one sent over here. We missed out on it completely. So I said to him, please send 10 over. I can offer it to the WA Blue Baggers here, and if they want something, they get first dip at it. You're correct.
Yeah. No, great stuff.
And look, guys, if you guys are watching and you came to purchase one of these pictures, it would be absolutely fantastic, and you would write a lovely. I bought a picture for. Well, we did. Frank and I bought a picture for our mum.
For mother, yes, yeah.
And you wrote some personalised messages to her.
Well, she hasn't stopped kissing me though.
So just for those,
not that I'm complaining though. She's only human. Yes.
You're a good-looking rooster. Just for those at home, we're actually at my house, at my bar, the Western Bar.
The Western Bar.
And we're very grateful to have Buzz with us. But of course, our mum lives in the caravan out the front. Due to COVID.
I was going to say, probably preface that by saying she's a grey nomad. She's not just stranded on the front there.
Yeah, no, we haven't thrown her a swag.
She's not trailer park trash or anything. She's just a grey nomad that can't get out because of COVID.
Yeah, look, when COVID hit, they pretty well got stuck here. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
And she was absolutely fangirling it with.
We did surprise her, didn't we?
Here.
We did a 15-minute photo shoot. The old girl loves her photos, so don't worry about that.
Yeah. So
if they want to personalise, Simone, that's what you're getting at. No problem at all. But they'll have to put something in tonight, and if they come in with a reasonable price, they're usually around about 300, 350 that Silvio sells them for. So if you've got something to bid on, please do. Yep. And if you put it through, we can sort out details later with bank details.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and no problem at all. Yeah.
You can head to the Carlton Live website, which I've just put up there on the screen if you're interested in buying a copy, or private message the Carlton Live Facebook page.
Yep.
And we will forward you Buzz's contact details to purchase some pictures.
That's for sure. Beautiful.
And so anyway, I was having a look at
going through
who's joining us.
Yes, yeah.
So we've got George Hunter Georges.
I don't know why you try and really go for
those.
Well,
I'm trying.
All right. Those surnames.
So hi,
hello,
guys.
George.
Hi,
Georgie. I'm not going to even attempt that name.
So he says, hi guys, hi Buzz. Can you please play this week? Well, what are we doing? Oh, he's on leave stock kicks his first goal,
Yeah.
2 players congratulated him.
Yes.
Yeah, it was actually really rotten.
That was
that was disgusting.
piss-poor.
And thanks for
Yeah.
bringing that up, George. You're quite right.
Yeah.
Back in your day, Buzz,
Oh,
that would have been unheard of.
well, that's been a bit of my bugbear for the last couple of weeks as well. The camaraderie between our sides of the 80s and 90s was second to none.
Yeah.
I don't think this particular side at the moment has got that. You know, like Frank, I'm a big believer if someone's belting out young blokes around or pushing or shoving, you've got to get in there and fly the flag.
You absolutely
You've got to get in there and fly the flag.
Cop a
and,
$1,500 fine.
well,
it doesn't matter. Just get in there.
Macca did it a couple of weeks ago and
absolutely.
did a couple of jumper
Yeah,
punches.
nice
and it's
jumperies.
the first time I've seen it.
It was
You know,
great.
in our side, and it was great. Exactly.
It was
you know,
great.
and, you know, they've got to get in there and fly the flag for each other, and that's how they are going to get. They are going to be a good side now, but they'll be even better when they start to do those little things. Talking is another thing that I've sort of had a look at too, because a lot of our guys are getting caught, Frank. You notice that they're breaking out of a tackle and, you know, then someone grabs them from behind. Now, whether that's a, you know, that they're just not talking to each other is another thing. But there is a lot of things that we can
talking about
tidy up on.
Yeah, talking about the camaraderie and the stuff like that. Do you think, Pete, that a lot of that can come down to the after hours activities, you know, not necessarily done on a football field, but not necessarily going out and getting on the piss or just do you think there could be something there that they could be, you know, spending a little bit more time bonding outside of football?
You can't do it now though, can you?
Yeah.
You know, in my,
you can't go and get on the side.
No, in our days,
show at Bolton trying to bash a bloke in a pub.
No, well, that's just silly. But you know, after the game, we had drinks with the opposition.
Yeah.
So you knew the opposition pretty well, and you know, I remember the day my second league game of football. I ran through Dipper Domenico. I broke his sternum in 7 places down his chest, you know, and he wasn't in the aftermatch because he was in hospital. But
I'm glad
you know,
my little girl didn't hear that.
after that, you know, was pretty good friends with Dipper, because what happens on the footy field stays on the footy field. But they get on a bus now, Frank. They go to an airport, or you know, they just don't fraternise with anyone, and they shuffle along and they don't know anyone. And I've heard a lot of people say, I don't know him, and I don't know him, and I don't know him. These are our guns of our game. You know, some of my best friends now are opposition players. You know, Dermot Brown, and every time I walk into a room, Dermot will come over to me and say, Buzz, how you going? How's things going? Because I live in WA, of course, too, Simone. So they do. Dougie Hawkes is a very, very good friend of mine. Brad Hardy, these sort of guys, you know, they're all good friends of Pete, because we did fraternise with them in those sort of days. But to answer your question, Frank, you know, they don't come down to that now, and they just, I think, just spread out. Don't they? They go to everywhere. They might go home. There's this thing called a phone now. If you start drinking in a bar, someone will come up here and go like this and send it to
it's all over the media.
If someone goes like this, it's on the paper. Before you get up the next day. That's on the social media, isn't it?
They don't even have to go to the pub, though, do they? I mean, they could go for a family barbecue or just, you know.
And seen with a glass in their hand and might have water in it. And then next thing you know, they're drinking.
Well, in our days, you know, you got to the stage about Tuesday was, you know, you could do everything up to about the Tuesday, but we're not as finely tuned as these guys are at this time, because, you know, they live at the football club, don't they? They live at the footy club. They're there, you know, 7 days a week, etc., etc. You know, and that's what I sort of get around, and that's why I think the Carlton Football Club in the 80s, you know, they won 79, 81, and 82 only because, you know, we had, you know, the comradeship, the bonding, and you know, we knew. And another important part, you know, and we discussed this a bit earlier, didn't we, Frank? That, you know, I knew everything that in my teammates, that what they do. If Dooley could kick 65 metres, I led from 65 to 60 metres away because he was going to hit me. You know, these are little things in footy, aren't they? The 1%ers, you know. Like I can take you back to the 1982 grand final, Blue Baggers, you know. The greatest grand final of all time. We lost Ross Ditchburn at the 28-minute mark of the first quarter. We played with 19 guys from then on. Richmond were going to belt us all day because they beat us by about 60 points in the second semi-final. But we come from nowhere to win that side. And I think one of Mum's books I just signed was the Legends and Larrikins book, and that it covers that particular game, Frank, and I know you've read it, as one of the greatest Carlton grand final wins of all time. Absolutely. There wasn't 100 interchanges in those days, mate. Not at all. No, you know, so that's what camaraderie is about. What I'm trying to get at is that we knew each other backwards, and you know, we knew that you know, that if Marku was going to be targeted or Ashman, bang. Johnson or myself or McClure were over there to, to remonstrate with Richmond. Because Richmond were both, I think they were 5-1 on for the game, to win the game, you see. And only a great side and a camaraderie and a bonding side was going to beat them, and that 82 side was.
Yep, absolutely.
David Thomason would like to know if you're a chance for the mid-season draft to add some grunt into the forward line.
Well, I tell you what, I wouldn't, not on the field, but I feel that it's probably be a bit controversial here. I think that the Carlton Football Club over the last 5 to 10 years have snubbed their past players. I'm sorry, I have to say it, because it has happened. I'm very, as you know, I'm very, very good friends with Steve Kernahan, and Sticks he's actually said the same sort of thing now, that if you can't go into our rooms anymore, they bloody block you off, Frank, and don't let you anywhere near the players. For goodness sake, mate, I'm a dual premiership player for you. I'm a life member of the club. If number 4 wants to come over to me and say this, that, and the other, I will talk to him. You know what? You know, when I went into the club rooms in my first game, in 1981, there was Bruce Condon, Big John Nichols, Alex Jezelenko, and about 4 other legends of the club. You know what I did? I went over and rubbed shoulders with them. Because I got the aura and I got the stigma out of those guys, and I wasn't embarrassed about it, Frank. I went over there and I thought, this is a golden opportunity for me to go over there and sit with legends of the club, and they engrossed me.
Meanwhile,
we're rubbing all that.
But you know what I mean? It's something that I think is lacking. They're trying to do something about it this year. And I walked into the club rooms last year, and I had to stand behind a rope. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm a past player here. I'm a life member, and I'm a dual premiership player. And we weren't playing pretty good footy at the time, right? Introduce yourself to all these guys that have been successful with the club, Simone. That's my point. I'm not being big-headed or anything like that. I just think it's a very, very something that Carlton is missing on doing for their players, especially their young players.
Yeah, exactly.
And I did see a couple of weeks ago when number 26 was given out by our great David Rees-Jones to young Parksy, and apparently young Parksy was over the moon.
And he does give a good bit of grunt too.
He is.
Parksy does. He's hard as nails.
That's for sure.
Ant McClellan would. He says the great Buzz. I got a photo of him 40 years ago when Mario Bortolotto poured a bucket of spaghetti over Lou Richards' head.
That was in Logan Street, yes.
I had to be.
I think that was a silly bet that old Lou put out. But the funny story about it, I've got to tell you the story about it. When I come over in 81, I come over quite late because I said to David, I don't need to train, David. I can just come over and just go straight into, true story. And I just said to him, I'll just come over for the scratch matches, practice matches. And anyway, got over there very late February, Frank, very late February, and just dropped straight in. And, the best 3 players on the ground for Carlton, we was notorious. We're notorious for not being able to play well in practice matches. The best 3 on the ground then was Mike Fitzpatrick, West Australian, Kenny Hunter, and myself, So anyway, we got the third one coming in. I played Richmond and we played Hawthorn, and we got to the ground, and I thought to myself, geez, and I rang my father and I said, Dad, I'm getting to the stage where I played 2 scratch matches and they just don't try here.
Should I have gone to North or what?
He said, don't worry about it, son, you've got. Same thing happened that day. Best 3 on the ground with the 3 I just mentioned. Anyway, Lou Richards rings me, Simone, and he says, we'd like to interview you before the first game. And I said, look, I haven't been cleared yet. I haven't been, but he said, oh, no. I've been watching you over the last couple of weeks, and I want to come down and I want to interview you. I said, oh, okay, if Carlton say it's okay, it's all right. So he gets up there, Frank, and he says, Peter, I've heard you can jump as high as this grandstand, you can tackle like a machine, you can kick free goals, and you can, you do the 1%. It's very good. I said, Lou, I could jump over that grandstand, I can kick the most freakiest goals, and I can tackle like a machine, and I can look after myself. He put it in the paper the next day. So I thought to myself, I don't know the bloody Carlton players. They're probably thinking this big-headed poof. shot me mouth off. Now, Simone, the first game. Okay, the last game against we played against Claremont in WA. You go back to the WA connection. You know, we played on Kenny Hunter, and there's 3,000 people there. Good on you, Buzz. Good on you, Kenny. Good luck for next year at the Mighty Blues. Claremont, yeah. So we go over there, and the first game. Walk out onto the ground. I've been shot my mouth off. I'm thinking to myself, I'm just shaking like a leaf. There's 77,000 people at the ground. Now, I walked out onto the ground and I'm shaking like a leaf, Simone. I'm thinking to myself, I'm gone here. At the 20-minute mark, you wouldn't believe it. I'm going around like a headless chook here, Frankie, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm gone. I'm on the next plane out. This is the end of me, you know. Yep. The little bloke come through the pack, the little white runner. He said, "You big-headed poofter from Western Australia, you shut your mouth off so much. You haven't got a kick." And I said, "I can't breathe. I can't move." The crowd were literally sucking the breath out because I wasn't used to it, you know.
Yeah.
So he's gone back to Parkin. Parkin says, "Tell him to squat down. Go and tell him to squat down, stand up, take 3 deep breaths, do a 360 around, and just take it all in." You know, Simone, it was the best advice I got from a coach who knew I was in big trouble. Yeah. You know, I was on the plane back to Perth, you know, that night, I reckon, you know, because I was playing. You know, in the next 3.5 quarters, I had 20 kicks. I kicked 3 goals. Yep. We won by 10 goals, and I actually won the player of the round.
Wow.
So David Parkin actually knew I was in big trouble because I was just not used to what it was, and that's a true story. And you know, David Parkin, we could talk for another hour and a half on the exploits of David Parkin, but he absolutely was fantastic. Now, the 2 best on the ground that day was Kenny Hunter and myself, and it wasn't a bad debut by a couple of West Australians that wanted to play for the CFC. You know, nothing to do with money, Simone, nothing to do with anything like that. 8 games in, Frank, I'm virtually leading the Brownlow medal. I walked up onto a stage and I said, "I just can't believe that. I'm playing for the best club in Australia. I'm wearing the CFC jumper, and everyone's saying that I'm going to be the next Brownlow medalist." I'm thinking, no, I'm playing for the Carlton Footy Club because it's the best club in Australia. Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, Blue Bags, I still think that is the case. We are the best club in Australia, and keep supporting us, and you know we will come back. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's
Oh, look, I couldn't agree more.
I'm getting a bit teary actually at the moment.
Okay. No, but you're right. I did a thing a couple of weeks back on this show called The Moan.
Yes, Simone's Moan. Simone's Moan, yes.
Yeah.
And
one of the things that I was trying to highlight is the fact that the current generation of kids, like I've got a 19-year-old and 17-year-old, and they live in WA. They grew up in WA. Yeah. And they've never had the experience of greatness. Like I grew up in the days, you know, brought up by my parents. In your day. You know, and every weekend was usually a win. It was greatness. Everything was fantastic.
Well, from 68 on, just count the premierships.
That's right.
68, 70, 72, 79. You know, it just went on and on and on.
That's exactly right. And so, from what really worries me is this current generation of supporters who have been raised right.
Very good point.
As Carlton supporters, are they going to jump off because they're bored? They're not seeing
no success. Very good point, actually. Yeah, very good point. And I see where you're going with it. And you know, it's funny. It's you know, a young fellow come up and he says, "Oh, I love that mark you took," and I think to myself, that was 40 years ago. You're about 11 or 12. I've seen it on Google and I've seen it on YouTube. You know, and you know,
parents raised him right.
I'm up to about 77,000 people. I reckon that was there the day that I took the mark at Princess Park.
Geez,
everyone says I was there the day you took that mark.
It's just like Jesselinko's mark. There'd be about 1 million people that was there that day.
There's a fair chance, Buzz, that my parents got back home from the footy with an empty esky after taking 2 cartons. Because when did they change that rule? Just to the 2 dozens?
Yes. Well, that's another good point, isn't it? That you know, now they just have the 1 game per day. And in the old days, Simone, you remember the grassroots people used to go there and watch the under 19s. You know, we'd get there about halfway through the under 19s. There'd be 10,000, 12,000 people there. And then you go there in you know, at half time of the Resis, and it's just about chock-a-block full. And Princess Park, you know, was absolutely rocking. And I remember, you know, going, Carlton says, you know, they said to me, Buzz, would you come and talk to the coterie group a couple of years ago? And I said, yeah, no worries. I said to my wife, I said, look, let's go and have a look at the young fellas playing, and let's see the Carlton blokes. Or, we get there, Frank. There's no game on. I'm thinking to myself, what's going on here? Yeah. So I get to the front of the queue and I say to the guy, when's the game starting? Half an hour or so? He says, no, there's only one game on today, Buzz. And I said, well, what are the supporters supposed to do? They're here at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Do they watch the grass grow? Do they have to knit or whatever? But that disappoints me a lot, because the grassroots people in football, the blue baggers and all the other supporters too, they deserve and they matter.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned it then. I get a little bit upset as well. I've seen the young people now that haven't seen any success, like their mums or dads or their grandparents, and it's sad, because Carlton in those days, 68, they've got 8 premierships, I think, in 30 years, I think it was, which was unheard of in those days, because we were just that good, and the club was run very, very well. Unfortunately, now my opinion is that we've got too many businessmen running our football club who want to balance the books, and we haven't got enough football people on. We've got Chris Judd on there at the moment, but he's resigned. And, we had Sticks, and we had Gleese, and Bugsy Conlon years ago, Percy Jones, these sort of likes. We haven't got them now, and I just think, Simone, that they are sort of really just concentrating on getting the club into a balance sheet, isn't it? So and leaving the real stuff of winning games of footy.
Yeah,
and that's what it's all about.
And look, financially is important, obviously, because you need to be viable. But we need to see the
balance.
balance.
Yeah, we need to see the balance. That's right. Yeah.
JR's asking, do you think we are trying to smash players into positions they're not accustomed to?
Well, that has been well and truly publicised, and where do you call it half forward now? A centre half forward now. Exactly. They go to the field. We go to the footy a lot, Frank, and you think to yourself, geez, you could build a block of flats in there. Because they're all 36 players are in one half of the ground, So, when I even saw Eddie Betts and Big Harry up on the half back line on yesterday's game, and, you just don't call a half forward anymore, or a back pocket. They call it a back forward pocket specialist, but, they're right up the ground as well. So, positional play now, of course, I think is way out the window, and that probably come in with Sheedy. That everyone had to be versatile, and everyone had to play both ends of the ground, and go from there. And look, I think we've got our back line pretty well set. I think we've the midfielders. I think we're still mucking around with that, with Cripper and Walshy, and maybe and
the next level down,
and then they're down Setterfield, Williams, Sard on a half back flank, beautiful kick, etc. We've got to sort that forward line out there, Frank, and that's what it's all about. There's no game plan. I think this is only my opinion. I'm not having a go at anyone. That I just think there's no forward line structure there that that should be in place. We've got the leading Coleman medalist at the moment, haven't we? That is playing pretty good, and I'm just hoping his shoulder's okay for this week, everyone. So it was good though that he pushed through that, Frank, wasn't it? That was very good seeing that.
That was awesome to see. He's a big heart. I mean, I think Teague said a couple of weeks ago he got gastro and said, no, I'm all right, I'll play. And had a good game. Done a shoulder early, pushed through it, kicked 3 goals.
He's got a bit of mongrel in him.
He's a tough bugger.
Well, I think that's a thing that we've got to get into our side too, Frank and Simone. We haven't got enough mongrel on the side.
No.
I'd like a bit of a meat axe in the side. And I said to Steve Kernahan a couple of years ago, go and recruit Campbell Brown. What are we going to recruit Campbell Brown for? Go and protect our players like Judd and Murphy. Murphy and Judd shouldn't have to do any heavy work. Bloke like Campbell Brown, or I think they went and got that young McLean from Melbourne. McLean. He had the good block, but he was injured, etc. So we need someone to protect our young fellas like Walsh, like Dow, like Murphy. They can't afford to be shirt fronted. I remember Hodgie running into Murphy a couple of years ago. I cringed. Murphy was out for about 8 weeks, wasn't he, with a shoulder. So we've got to get a bit of mongrel in the side. And what I mean by that is, I remember what that young Wiedering had to put up with when Rewalt went at him a couple of years ago. He grabbed him by the chin, shook the living daylights out of him, and I thought to myself, fly the flag, go in there and barrel, give a free, doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Or a $1,500 fine is what they'll get. They throw jumper is, but geez, I'm sure the boys can all get around and chip in for if
exactly.
If you start,
well, protect your teammate will start as well.
100%.
Brett Klassen, he likes to say that there was no Carlton without the Buzz legend.
Brett, I think I know Brett. Yeah, from years ago. Might have taken a mark or two on him.
As Andrew Lake.
Andrew, fantastic Andrew. He loves his Carlton as
well. He's a wealth of knowledge.
And a wealth of knowledge too. Exactly. What's he said, Simone?
Don't you try and read the screen.
No, I can't.
You look at the camera, Buzz.
So you can't even see the screen.
I can't even read the
No, she can't.
You guys look at the camera.
Watch it pulls this sentence up. Go on.
See,
can't you get 2 words?
As an 11-year-old going to the VFL Park. Now, Frank and I grew up near VFL Park.
Just a quick one before you continue on. We grew up. It was a 15-minute walk from our house to VFL Park. Right. And 7 of those minutes was walking through that long car park. That's how close we were.
Yes, I remember it. Yes.
For round 181, and seeing the debut of Peter Bosustow and Ken Hunter remains one of his fondest memories.
Oh, awesome.
A 10-goal win and 2 extraordinary debuts. Peter was ahead of the game when it came to goal assists and forward pressure, and nothing got past Kenny Hunter across the half.
Look, it was a fantastic game, and it was the start. It was the start of me. It wasn't a fluke that I wanted to go to Carlton. My father was a player with Carlton. He played 20 games with Carlton, and would you believe he was number 4? And he never told me that. He never told me that. Well, 20 years after I played at the club, I had to go to the stats book. I said, Dad, why didn't you tell me you were number 4? He had a number 4 Carlton jumper at home too, and I thought, it was just So that was a sort of a link up with the number 4 as well. But look, it was such a great side. On every line, Frank, we had all Australians. Southby and Harms in the back pocket. Then you had Dill, Perevic and Hunter. Then you had Greg Wells, and you had Kenny Sheldon. Then you had Johnson and McClure, and then Fitzpatrick. It was just an unbelievable side, and we won the 2 premierships, and we very, very closely should have won 1980 as well. They tell me I wasn't there, of course, in 1980, but they reckon that. And 83,
86.
We nearly had the same side in 83, and we could have won 5. We could have won 5. And the dynasty. I often have a go at Sticks and saying, Sticks, the 1995 Carlton side was one of the greatest sides of all time. Why didn't you have a dynasty too? He said, Buzz, we got old. All the 30-year-olds just started to retire, I think, the next year or the year after. And, they just had that click too late. There's Peter Dean in his 30s. There was Diesel in his 30s, Sauce in his 30s, Sticks in his 30s, Brattles in his 30s, and we had, and did I say Diesel? Yeah. And they virtually all retired at the same time, didn't they? And this is what held against that side. And, of course, we haven't won one since. We haven't won one since, and 99 was our closest, wasn't it? When the Bombers beat us in 99.
I was 19 for the 95 grand final. My eldest daughter is 19.
Right.
And I think that's why the point I made earlier about this current generation. It's like, wow, I was her age. The last time I saw one.
And I have seen that on the social media, Simone, you're quite right there, that, a lot of people are saying, our young people haven't had success.
They just haven't.
Mum has, or granddad has, or whatever, but the young ones who are, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, who are Carlton mad, last 3 years, 6 games or won, 7 games, 6 games, and it's not a very good strike rate, is it?
I saw a disgusting stat the other day that I think in the the AFL era, we've won the most wooden spoons.
Yes,
we won our first wooden spoon in 2001.
2001.
Ever. Our first wooden spoon
never looked like getting it before that.
Ever. And now in the AFL era, we've won the most. And I was, wow.
So, Pete, we've got a few people that are asking, how do they purchase a picture?
Oh, good.
So John has, and I've just put up his comment there, that they can email John.
Okay.
So Jon@carltonlive.com. and they can also private message the page. Tell me if I'm wrong, John. And we can actually
can sort it.
We can connect you up and make sure it happens.
Yeah. And what I usually do, Simone, is I actually, if they want it personalised, I personalise it to them.
Yeah.
They bank details into the whatever the details will be, and I express post it to them virtually straight away, so they get it virtually the next day.
Yep.
And I've had a lot of comments on Buzz, I've got the prints and I've got this, and thanks very much for signing it for me. And I think the personalisation is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's personally done. These ones behind, I've actually put into a frame, so I've done it for them. So they're thinking, oh, Buzz has done that for me, and I think that's great. Frank, you mentioned before, people going into social clubs, and in those days we used to go up into the social clubs and fraternise with all the social members. We can't do it now. Can't do it now, and that I think doesn't annoy people, but it really sort of tells on them, because they think, well, we've seen a great game of footy. I'd like to see Jezza and Buzz and Jimmy Buckley and Brucey Dool and whoever up in the club rooms afterwards, because that's how it happened in the old days. Now they get on a bus, they go to an airport, they're either interstate, or they don't get the real And that's why I'm very, very, honoured to do this for the people, because they're supporting me. They are supporting me as well, but I'm giving them something back that I think they really enjoy, is talking to a player that's been successful with the club.
And that's all us fans want, is to connect.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And
so that sounds good. What you said there with John. With as I say, the two ones here with the series ones. If someone wants to put bids in, the highest bidder. We had a jumper that John put up for us a couple of weeks ago, and that was signed by Sticks, Kenny Hunter, the Dominator, and myself, and I think that went for 800. John can correct me if I went with it. That was right, and we also had another one, the underbidder. He rang up and said, "Can you get me another one, because I've lost the underbid?" So it was fantastic, and probably I should just briefly explain what has happened to me over the last 12 months with the scamming thing, Simone. And what happened was that my wife and I put a hell of a lot of money into a opportunity for a life lease on a rental. We put the money into a trust, so-called, and it was around about $300,000. It worked for about 2 years. It went into a trust. There's some 110 people that went into this actual scheme as well. $28 million was lost. And we are sort of suffering from then on, because we've got to pay the rent again. And, the Carlton people have been absolutely fantastic. And guys like Hunter and David Parkin and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're too to mention. They've all been very helpful. They've all signed things for me, and people have been very, very good, just giving me 200, 300. People have rang me up, Frank, and said, "I'll give you $1,000, Buzz, because of what you've done for me. You've given me great memories." No. If you want something that I can get for you, I'm very happy to do it that way. And something like this, or something like that, or something of Jez's, something of Steve Kernahan's, the number 4, I'm only too happy to chase up for them. And that's the way it should be. And, it's good that the people, and it's great to come on shows like this, because, you've already got one of these, and your smile hasn't gone off your face. And there's so many lipstick on me, because Mum was kissing me about 4 or 5 times. So she loved it as well.
And remember, you personally wrote for Mum's picture. A little reminder of the great days.
Yes.
Which I think is so
and
poignant.
People like Mum love those days, don't they? They do. She loved those days, and we had so many outstanding people that played for the club in those days. Virtually every year, Frank, we've got reunions, the 50-year reunion for the 1970 grand final was last year, and the 40-year reunion for 81 and 82 this year and next year, and the 95 one had their 25. So it just goes on, because of the camaraderie and the bonding that those premiership sides have got with each other,
which we touched on a little bit earlier.
And we did, that's for sure. Yes.
Where was I?
So I told her she's
she's right. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Terry Holyoke would like to know, who's your current favourite player?
A Carlton player, or any player? Carlton.
I'm assuming Carlton.
Yeah, well, I'm probably like everyone else. I love watching cricket play.
Yeah.
disappointed that he may be injured the last year or two. I hope that the contract is not pulling away from his performance. I don't think so. I was saying to Frank before that I just find he's getting caught a lot more than he did, because he's probably trying to shrug players off. Trying to take on too much of the side, because it's his responsibility as captain. But love the Doc as well. Though he come back from 2 reconstructions, which is unheard of. That's fantastic. And
playing some quality footy.
I remember last year going into the rooms, and he was virtually one of the only players that come up to me and said, "Hello, Buzz, and how you going?" I said, "Doc, are you very close? And you're this." And I think he done his knee again that just before it, and sent him a text saying, "We'll keep at it, mate." And what a great start to the year he's had again this year, and fantastic captain as well, and. So I suppose the 2 captains are good, and young Loshy, he's fantastic as well. But just wanting the young fellas to come through, and we've got a couple of A graders, we've got some C graders. They need to come up another step, don't they, Frank? They need to come up to B. The B, and the B's one now got to go to B plus. There's not too many go to A, because they're elite, we've got to get more of the probably D and C graders come up and really, make their mark on it. I like young Kennedy, Matty Kennedy, but they just don't seem to give him some time.
I think that sort of touches on what JR was saying a little earlier about players not playing in their positions and that sort of thing. I mean, he's a bit unlucky in that.
Young stock-up, isn't it, too, Frank? He needs to be played and played and played. Not give him 1 or 2. Petrosky Seaton, he's been sort of strangled because he's not doing this, but give the young fellas a real good go, and I think Mark McClure said it, didn't he, one of the ones a couple of weeks ago. Drop a couple of name players if they're not performing. Drop a couple of name players, and make a point, and you would find then, and McClure is very straight up and down the line, as I can tell you,
straight
very, very good sound thinker of footy.
We've got loads and loads of comments, so bear with me. Giselle says, would be great to see you old players in the rooms, giving the lads a G up.
I agree there. I certainly do. I think it's a must. It's a must, because it's a
what's happening at the moment is not working. So
you took the words right out. I was just going to say what we're doing now is not working, and I've seen it a lot on the social media and Footy Classified and all that sort of thing, that Carlton have got to change something. Whether it's putting Eddie into the centre or putting a Cripper at full forward and just leaving him there or whatever. Just try something that that might turn them around, because scoreboard pressure, Frank, is always a very, very good ally to have.
It's the best pressure.
Yep, for sure.
Mac wanted to point out that he's glad you pointed out the disconnect between our past premiership players and club legends and today's crop. Deplorable decisions which reflect our drought standing.
Well, look, I can give you another story. I know that the Blue Baggers won't be happy with it. I went into the president's room last year, or the year before, sorry, and I was introduced as a past player. Myself and Mil Hannah are not past players. We are premiership players for that club. We are life members of the club, and we've done a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that club. And to be called a past player, I thought was disrespectful, and that follows along the line, Frank, that I've been talking about. With these people should know that the angst you get within the group of players is your past players, your legends. We've got more legends, Frank, and more champions and more superstars than any other club.
Absolutely.
And you can go, I could rattle off 25 or 30. Kuda Bradley, Peter Dean, Diesel, Sticks, Hunter, Dool, Southby, Johnson, but you can keep going, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
A lot of them are
every decade.
Exactly. So, to be treated like that, I think, is a mistake.
Yes.
It's disrespectful for us as well. I can tell you stories about Jezelenko and Big John Nichols. All they want of these current people are signatures off them. They don't want to know Jezza as a friend or as a four-time premiership coach, Jezza.
Yeah.
And Frank, maybe the greatest player ever.
Yeah.
Jesualito could do it in the air.
He's got a
He could
spot
do
on
it
the
on the
table.
ground. He was a thinker. He kicked 100 goals. You know, what else do you want from a great player like that?
Yeah.
Big Nick, you know, 6'2", Frank, 6'2". Cripper's taller than him, Simone, you know, and dominated football, you know, when he went with Polly Farmer. Polly Farmer used to say the same things about him. I used to hate playing against Big John Nichols, you know, and all they want now is signatures off them, and because they're captains of the game and premiership players, etc., get them down to the club and let these young blokes
soak it in.
We
need some mentorship, don't we?
We do.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm talking out of school,
look,
but it's my opinion, and you know,
opinions are never wrong.
We've got to do it. We've got to do it better, don't we?
Yeah.
I like your opinion a lot.
Yeah.
And I think
the Blue Bags
I
do,
think a lot of our viewers
I'm
do.
sure they're onto it.
Rob would like you to tell the story of the Melbourne Star bike for Mark of the Year.
Yeah, go on.
Well, Kenny Hunter's put you up with this. Well, you know, the skyscraper I took in '81 was the Mark of the Year of '81, of course.
Yeah.
Look, that's a great story as well, Frank. And, you know, I was out the week before, and Kenny took an absolute skyscraper on the wing against Melbourne. And McClure turned to me. He was on the bench as well, and he said, "Well, Buzz, that's fixed the Mark of the Year up." And I said, "Don't worry, Sellers. I'll fix that up next week." You know, and the stars aligned and the planets aligned, and it just happened to be that you know, the mark was taken, and you know, and I said, I think I called it on the way down, Frank. I said, "That's the Mark of the Year." Get on the way down. Other
Just let everyone know.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You know, and of course, McClure, he's one of those guys that really keeps you on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
McClure, a fantastic player again. I must say, he was the first one, Frank, that took the centre half back and the ruckman, because the ruckman had pulled back on him and he would work for his side.
Yeah.
You know, the Mosquito fleet, of course, was Ashman and Marcoux and Harmsey and Sheldon and Buckley and Ashy, and, you know, and they were just such good. And McClure's job was just to go in, barrel, you know, the centre half or the centre half back and the ruckman, and the Mosquito fleet had just come in and did it very well, exactly. Yeah. And for a lot of times they got injured for it as well. So what a great player he was. And so the story went that you know, after the game, you know, it was all, you know, I look up, you know, think you've got it, etc. Well, that was the Mark of the Year of '81, of course. Now, '83, I took another sensational mark, and Kenny took a very courageous mark, floated back into the pack. Only what Kenny Hunter could do. Yeah. You know, he flew back into the pack, took a fantastic mark, and you know, and the story went too, of course, and you probably know this, Blue Bag, is that Kenny had a broken jaw 3 times before he come to Melbourne, and he was dismissed by. That's what I've been looking for. Dismissed on a 3 or 4 clubs, Frank, because they thought, he's going to get another one, and he's going to get, you know, he played 180 games for Carlton, of course, and 3 premierships. So glad he did that. Yep. So you know, Ken took this absolutely sensational, courageous mark. So I took another one about, you know, 2 or 3 games to go, and the story goes that Kenny reckons I rang the, you know, when he got the Mark of the Year of Channel 7, I got the Mark of the Year on the ABC. Now, I won a Melbourne Star bike, and Kenny won a Mercedes-Benz worth about $100,000, you know. And he often said to me, he said, "You can have a drive every now and then, Buzz." You know? So that was the story there. So thanks for reminding me of that. And, Kenny's probably ringing as well. He loves bringing that story up at functions that we go to.
Great story. Anthony Walsh would like to know, do you prefer the Lygon Street end or Sydney Road end of Princess Park?
Now, the Robert Heatley stand in was the story with the dipper. Now, the dipper was going to get me back for breaking, you know, running through him. Now, you know, we used to call dipper elbows. You know, how many Carlton players did he hit with an elbow? You know, I remember Curly Austin. I don't know whether you remember. I still see it vividly then. But he said to Jono, "I'm going to get Bazzusto," and Jono come to me and said, "Buzz, we're going to get him at 4. We're going to get him at the 5-minute mark. He reckons he's going to get you at the 10-minute mark." I've gone to Fitzy, and I said, "Fitzy, if you win the toss, go to the bloody Robert Heatley stand in, and we'll get him in front of the crowd. And if we get in trouble, 10 or 15 Carlton bloody members will jump the fence and I'll help us out and get him." I said, "Oh, good. Let's do that. That'll be fine." And in the end, it was a funny, very funny story. He got me about the 10-minute mark. He grabbed me by the scruff of the neck. I'm trying to hit him like this. Jono's on the other end of him, and that was it. That was the end of it. Now, 2 or 3 decades later, about 20 years later, I did a function with him, Simone, and we went to a footy show. And he said that Bazasto, he said, I tried to get him for 3 years when he, his shirt fronted me and broke me sternum. He said, I had the chance to get him in a state game in '84. He said the players parted. There he was hanging on the ground. He says, I come in with a big elbow. Bazasto moved. I hit the ground, hit my chest, and I broke my sternum in 5 places. Now, true story, because Dipper said it. So I thought to myself, okay, fine, fair enough. And that was the end of it. And of course, I never played a state game or another game in Melbourne. So, but the Dipper, we often have a big laugh about it because of what happened when he broke his sternum again in the state game. So, yeah, a bit of sucked in. Yes, exactly.
So, Mac Champion says, our last 4 massive signings are on big contracts.
Yes, yes.
It's concerning. What are they playing for? Dollars or the monogram?
Is Mac asking what I'd be getting now if I was playing now? About 1.9 million I'd be getting now if I was playing now, Mac.
Plus match payments.
Plus exactly. Yeah, plus bonuses. That's right. Yeah.
So what would that, Mark, have got you as a bonus back in the day?
5.
5 grand.
5 grand was a lot of money in those days.
Yeah. So what would that be worth now?
Oh, what would it be worth, Frankie? About 40, 45, I suppose, maybe 50.
Probably
Something like that. Maybe more.
That's a heavy brown paper bag.
Well, in those days, houses weren't anywhere near that sort of ones that they are now. But look, to be serious, you've got to get these payments to players to get them to the club.
You have to,
but you've got to get them to the club with some sort of angle, don't you? Yeah. The angle is, we want you to play in a premiership.
Get the job done.
We've got to get the job done. Exactly. Now, how do we get the bond? It's only going to be money. But, he may win a premiership with the Western Bulldogs this year, but I said to Sticks a couple of years ago, I said, you've got to get maybe Fife or Dangerfield or someone, but you've got to get him big money. But, Frank, you've got to give them the opportunity to say, this Carlton side is going to be good in 2 or 3 years' time. Right. Be there. And I think that's what Cripper will stay for in the long run, Simone, because I think he'll know that, the side is shaping into, and I'm hoping that's what the,
all the signs are there, aren't they?
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
One of the things that I think that we all agree on, most supporters, even though we get really pissed off when we lose, is that we've got all the ingredients.
We can see it. Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
And I think Nick Minute, who was on our show last week, he just wanted to say the Western Buzz Bar shits on the front bar.
The Western Buzz Bar.
Sorry, Sam Pang and Andy Marr and Malloy.
Yeah. Well, we got them covered. Don't worry.
They're two tragic Carlton people, aren't they?
I know.
Andy,
Sam Pang and Andy Marr.
Yeah.
But Mac, no, it is a situation where you've got to pay that money to get people to the club. I think they're both. They've only played 6 or 7 games. I think Adam was injured in the first game when he put that outstanding tackle on, and I think with the Richmond guy late in the game. And I think Zach was very unlucky with getting that suspension. And has come back. So look, good players, often go through that little bit of a rut, don't they, man?
I think when players play poorly, their contract comes up a little bit too much. I think, especially when they're new recruits. We don't want to see.
Or they're due to resign.
Yeah. Well, I played with I played against a bloke called Mark Jacko Jackson, Simone. Like his contracts were 12,200, and he got fined 18,700 every year. So he was giving money back to the club. He
was paying to play.
That's
right. Williams just needs consistency for the rest of the season and a full pre-season.
Absolutely, And I think I was calling for that with McGovern too, Simone. I was talking before we come on air, and I said the same thing that his timing is out with his marking. He was a terrific mark when he was with the Crows, and I just think his timing is out. And you know what that is? That's confidence and it's fitness. So he needs, and you just said it then. You need a full pre-season. One of the great stories that I've got with pre-season, I could not run out of sight in a blue fit. Now, Remember the old 15-minute run, Frank? You know, David Parker brought it in. If you couldn't run 9 laps in 15 minutes, you were not going to play a VFL footy. I could run 8 laps and about 200 metres. So I was always 200 metres behind, and he wouldn't play me, and even in scratch matches and that sort of thing. An old guy called Leo Brooks. This was the last before the last scratch match, and I had to run 9 laps, which is 3,600 metres in this 15 minutes. When I was running around it, the cones got smaller and smaller and smaller. And in the end, I reckon I was running about 240 metres. I was running around there. Everyone ran to us like, David Buzz he's run 9.5 laps. He's done it. So it was very, very funny. And of course, you know, the only one that didn't know what was going on was David Parkin. So,
but they knew they needed the buzz.
But they needed, exactly. That's right. Yes. I could get the footy on the Saturday sometimes.
All right, so
again, another true story, Simone. So.
Oh, I love these stories. It's fantastic. I've just been reading some of the questions because I'm mindful that everyone's keen to chat with you.
Yes, yeah.
But JR has put a few people have said they'd love to order a poster.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we've got Jenny Fulton, Kimberly. They've been asking. So a lot of people are interested.
Fantastic.
Now, JR.
Yeah.
We do this thing. Buzz, where we have Goose of the Week.
Right.
On our Western Bar show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, usually every week, JR nominates Trev.
Yep.
Oh.
You know Trev.
Okay, Trev.
Yeah,
yes,
you've been on their show.
Yep.
Right. I think JR gets a nomination this week.
Oh, does he?
Well, yes.
Oh, okay, please explain.
All right.
Oh, so Pauline Hanson.
So we've got these people who are commenting, going, they'd love to order a poster and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
JR is absolutely taking the piss. Mind my French. He says, email Simone at dingbat.com. Do not email that address. You will not get a picture.
Nasty, isn't it?
But he's not getting a goose nomination for that.
I'll tell you what,
you're a dingbat.
The two gooses of the week, I think I spoke to you before about this, was Eddie Betts tried to dribble one through when a bloke was on the line, and we needed that goal at the time.
Yeah.
And the other one was the game against the GWS, Frankie, when the GWS tried to do one as well, and the bloke saved it on the line as well.
Yeah.
Why didn't you kick it in the air and win the game?
Yeah.
So that's the goose of the week for me too. That was just oh, terrible. There's another one I remember. A goose was old Percy Jones. Percy used to they used to do the laps of Princes Park there, and Percy used to grab the tram and take the tram around the track, and Jezza didn't know, but Jezza found out one day, and didn't he? With Percy Jones getting on the tram and doing his laps around the tram.
That's brilliant. That was gold, wasn't it? Gold. Yeah. Look, guys, I've just put up there, if you're really keen to buy a picture, you can hit up the website that's on the screen now.
Okay.
Or
if they're on Facebook, they can actually Facebook me as well, because I can
get
onto
that's right. If you're already connected with the Great Buzz on Facebook,
we can do it through there.
You can hit him up with a message, or if you're connected with me or Frank, we'll connect you up with Pete as well, or JR or Trev for that matter.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So I can personalise it, whatever they want on it, and if they just want it signed and sent off, no problem at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been very good like that in terms of the personal messages. It is very personal from a supporter's point of view.
Well, I had one about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Got it for her mum, and cheeky thing wanted a photo with me too. So we stood there with our thumbs out, and she got the photo as well.
Yes.
Who would that be?
That was you.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Buzz. Telling stories. So listen, any other gooses for this week, Frank?
Oh, the only one. It was a bit of a slow goose week, but the only one.
It was a slow goose week. Everyone was behaving themselves.
Yeah,
absolutely. Mackay's brother,
Ben.
Yeah. You've got to be joking. He was asked about taking who he's going to take in when Carlton plays North. He gives it the old. You know, I usually go to the number 1 forward, so I'll probably go to Levi. You've got to be.
That was a bit cheeky.
But I do like it though. He's giving his brother a bit of stick.
Yes,
That's okay.
yeah.
But yeah, you're still
right.
getting a Goose nomination.
And
it was great
he's playing some
banter.
great footy at the moment, Harry. If you can only bloody kicks straight, you know. And,
Yep.
I'd like to ask someone like Gary Ablett or Plugger Lockett or Dunstall, you know, what do you think of that round the corner kick that one of the best full forwards of the current time do it now?
Given those ones,
yeah,
they wouldn't be happy with that.
But no, look, that's another thing that isn't he, guys, and he's got to work on that probably through the summer.
Yeah.
You know, a straight kick, get his balance, get his routine going. You know, he loves to throw that ball up in the air, and you know, I like the way he tries to get his breath back. You know, he looks like he's out of breath all the time. But no, look, he's come of age this year, hasn't he? And, you know, and it'll be absolutely really looking forward if we've got a dominant midfield.
Yeah,
you know, and when he can come through
with clean delivery,
to him
every time.
Yeah.
Speaking of panting and all that sort of stuff, I think the next Goose would have to be Daisy. Did you see him playing for some community? What was the community club?
Just some mob. He gets out there. He plays a game and then he does a bit of a sportsman's night afterwards. But
yeah.
But
what would he get paid for that?
There's a full brown paper bag job.
Yes,
but he was fully mic'd up.
Yeah, the whole game. Yeah. So yeah.
And whoever he was playing on goes, you looking for a beer, Daisy? He goes, no, I'm looking for an asthma pump.
I did a show down at Tasmania a couple of years ago, and went down with Jacko and Alex Yetholenko, and we went into a footy club down there, and they said, you know, well, it cost them $3,000 for the three of us, whatever it was. And I said, oh, you sure you're okay with that sort of money? He said, no, we've just had our commanders play 8 games for us.
Oh shit.
It cost them $8,000 $8,000 a thing. Their first gate was $72,000.
Yeah.
Because 8,000 people turned up to see him play.
Yeah.
The next week was the same. They've got about 50 the week after. And it dropped away. It dropped away because of the novelty.
Yeah.
But in the end, the away side was paying him to play too, and they picked up the 60 or 70,000 too, because all their members and supporters went to it. Footballers done it.
Yeah.
You know,
Daisy reportedly getting 10K again.
Well, the Feb does it, but the Feb performs.
He gives about
9 or 10 goals a game. So
plus he does the stand-up sportsman's night.
Oh, does he?
They tell you the stories.
That's right.
Go through it. So it's well worth it for a community club.
For sure. Yep.
So, look, I'm not sure if we'll give a Goose Award this week. We normally give a Goose Award. There it is. Who gets Goose? I think it's JR.
Oh, I was just going to say.
I reckon it's you for thinking the camera's over there, mate. It's over there. You dog.
JR won't be happy with that.
And I
nothing to do with it, John.
I think JR's going to want a picture of Buzz saying you got Goose of the Week this week, mate.
That'll be the next promo.
Actually, how's his been calling going, Simone? Has he given you any feedback?
What's that?
He's been calling footy commentary.
Yeah. He's enjoying it.
Is he? Oh, that's good. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Whether he's doing a good job or not, I don't know. maybe we need to listen in and we'll get some goosebumps.
Yeah, we might have to give him the rating. Absolutely. We will.
I think Trev will be loving this, going, oh, because JR perpetually nominates Trev.
Oh, right.
Every single week.
Every week. Yeah. And John's up. He's getting it. So I think, John, you get Goose of the Week. All right, so can I just pop up a picture here?
Yes.
There we go. So those pictures are behind us.
Yeah.
Guys, so that's what you're able to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Please contact John at johnssilly.com. No, not really. Hold on.
John at Carlton Live, wasn't it? John at
Hold on. There we go. So the website's there if you would like to purchase a print.
Yep.
You could also contact Carlton Live Facebook page by private message. You could, if you're connected to myself or Frank, JR or Trev, you can message us directly as well as the great Buzz. So please, Let us know if you're keen
or interested. Yeah,
they are great.
They are of good quality
Absolutely
too. I'm very happy. Silvio does a fantastic job in Melbourne, and actually I brought one out of a frame to show you, but I left it in the car just to show you the actual quality of it. He uses the most expensive stencils, and you can see it. And
they're adoring my bar.
Well, yes, that's
I'm not sure you'll go home with them today, Buzz.
Well, someone might purchase them. So,
no, they're absolutely fantastic pictures. Yeah.
And the beauty of it is that they know it's coming from people that the people that it represents has signed it.
Yep.
There's a lot of not fake things going around about footballers, but these are absolutely legit because I can I can do a certificate of authenticity, but I don't think they'll even come into it, Frank. So and again, if they want something written on the back, I can easily write it on the back as well. So of the frames,
yeah.
And some people too, Simone, like to put their own frames because they've got their own man coats.
Decor,
yes, and they like black or white or
whatever they want to do.
What's the oak or whatever, and Tasmanian oak, or they want to put it in. But no, we've had some good comments there on the screen.
Well, Sean wants to know: is the Buzz happy with our selection committee and the development of the young kids?
That's a really good question.
That's probably another one that I'm, want to change. I think that we've got to get some Carlton people in there.
Yep.
I don't know who's available. I have heard a bit of a whisper that they may be looking at Justin Lepage.
Yes,
to come in and
doing some
again that's a bit of a mongrel. Played his
Absolutely.
footy like that.
Absolutely.
So
He didn't mind scrapping.
I don't want to call it soft, but you've just got to have a little bit of oomph in there to to sort of fix a couple of these players that are if you don't go with Richmond, they will outmuscle you.
Absolutely.
And I think they did that to us a couple of weeks ago, but I think we fought back well then. And the same with Melbourne. They tried to do the same thing, but there are a couple of little things there. Essendon, Collingwood. We always comment on Essendon. I remember my first game against Collingwood years ago, Simone, and we'd won 8 in a row, Frank. And we had such a fantastic start to the season. And you don't lose to Collingwood. Goals Collingwood. You don't lose to Carlton. They knocked us off by 10 goals at Princess Park. Would you believe it?
Absolutely.
And we just played very, very ordinary. Then we go to Victoria Park, and we knocked them off by a point. Ooh, what's better than beating Collingwood by 10 goals? Beating them by a point at Victoria Park. And Jimmy Buckley said to me at the time, Buzz, do not loiter on the field.
Let's just get going.
And sign autographs. Get off the ground.
Out of here.
So you know who I parked in behind, Big Frank? Big Wow. Come on, Wow, let's go. Wow took me off the ground, but thank God. But to get to the YKs and throwing things at you. The good old days, mate. They were the
Collingwood.
good old days.
Yes, absolutely
right.
Disgusting human beings.
Funny, the grand final of '81. Simone, I must tell you that story. Like we get to Tuesday. Everyone asks, "What's it like?" Especially WA people. What's it like, the grand final, Buzz? Well, Monday you go to the Brownlow. I went to the Brownlow and polled 13 votes one year, and Kenny polled 15, and poor old Roddy Ashman polled 20. 21 was the winner. But in those days, they actually did the 3 votes altogether. They did the 1s and 2s. Actually polled 20 of 2s and 1s. He hardly got a 3 vote.
He didn't get a best on.
Now, there was about 5, 6, 7 in a row. Carlton versus South Melbourne, I kicked 9. P. Bazzusto, 3. Carlton versus Richmond, 3 votes, K. Hunter. Carlton versus Essendon, 3 votes, P. Bazzusto. 3 votes, K. Hunter. 3 votes, P. Bazzusto. 3 votes, K. Hunter. He missed out by a vote, which was one of the 3 votes, and he won everything in that particular year. He won the truth.
He won everything.
We were taking the 3 votes off him, so we cost him a Brownlow. Ashman was probably the true superstar of that side. He was and was unheralded, but he had the helmet on and that sort of thing. But he had such a great 3 or 4 years when I was at the club, and he was probably and Dooley had probably put in the champion legend status, but he was just the superstar because every week he just performed, and all around him was the side that sort of into lock. Anyway, Monday is the Brownlow. You go to the Brownlow, fantastic night, but we just drink water and that sort of thing, etc.
Water.
Tuesday, I don't think they let us.
Sure?
Tuesday, fantastic. 12,500 people at Princes Park. Down the road, there's 20,000 at Collingwood, you know. Wednesday, little bit of a thing. There's still 5,000 or 6,000 there watching it. Thursday, 20,000 there. They actually park all around the ground and just 10, 15, 20 deep, you know. This was, you know, Collingwood had 30, 35,000 at Victoria Park. Anyway, we get to Friday, the march, all that sort of thing. And then, of course, on the Saturday, you run out in front of the 117,000 people. Absolutely unbelievable. The adrenaline you just feel going through your body, and you just can't explain it to people. It's the best feeling that, you know, of all time. You know,
absolutely.
Halfway through the third quarter, we're gone. We're gone. The chant's up. Collingwood. Armsy's done the best thing you've ever seen in your life. Ran from the back pocket, taken this screamer on the wing, bounced twice, kicked a 65-metre goal. We've gone from 22 points down to 16. Jimmy Buckley's kicked a goal just on the siren just before three-quarter time. We've only gone in about 12 points down. David Parkins comes screaming down from the race. They're gone. They're gone. He actually noted that they'd stopped running.
Yeah.
And we kicked 4-12 in the last quarter. We should have won by, you know, to be able to kick 12-4. I kicked 1-3 in the third quarter, last quarter, and we just kept on kicking points, but they never kicked the goal, and we should have just run away with it. But we won by, I think, 3 goals or something, what it was in the end. And it was such a great to run off the ground.
We do like to beat that mob,
don't we? We certainly do. And Richmond, we certainly like that. And we did Richmond the next year, so that was even better. So I played in the 2 real toughest grand finals. There was 110,000 at the next one. We had an interesting, Richmond brought on a girl with no jumper on.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember her name.
We kicked 5 goals after that, so it must have upset them, but it didn't upset us.
They got a bit sidetracked.
We've had a late Goose nomination.
Have we?
No.
Hardwick bitching about playing at Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having a sook.
Well, we only had about
tell
22,000 there, didn't they?
Tell me, Buzz. What sort of ground did you play on? How did that go?
Well, the MCG.
What colour were you when you got off the field?
Oh, yeah. Was singing Mammy, you know, because there was that much mud. You know, I remember the MCG in those days, Greg. Unbelievable, you know, like the cricket pitches were, you know, were in there. But, you know, the MCG, the greatest ground in the world, you know, I wanted to play there. 77,000 the first game. 3 or 4 weeks later, we played Melbourne there. 92,000. You know, it was just so good to play at the ground. Frank, I'll go in there in 1978. North Melbourne fly me over. I walk up into the MCG and I thought, bloody hell. Now I know what the Christians are like when the Coliseum. It was just a Coliseum of, you know, of people and, you know, people having their champagne and all that sort of thing. Loved it. And I just walked up into the stand. I thought, oh, how good would it be to play in front of these people? And 3 years later, I was playing in front of, you know, 117,000, which was the Carlton Collingwood. Very lucky indeed. Yeah,
absolutely. And as Giselle said, mud and slushy grounds. It was awful, wasn't it?
Well, you know, with
suburban grounds would have been terrible.
Yeah. I was just going to say we played
Oval,
and Windy Hill.
Albert Park.
My gosh, you know, Windy Hill was just an absolute quagmire. And I didn't play at the Lakeside.
Okay.
Which was, you know, virtually down near the lake there in Albert Park there. And I didn't actually play there because South Melbourne, I think we played South Melbourne in Sydney. Because that's when they had the exhibition games there, and we played them at Princes Park, then we played them in Sydney. So no, I didn't play there, but played at the Junction. That was the same. That was a big cricket oval.
Down at Rathen as well.
But of course, they at Princes Park, they actually sometimes put the covers over the pitch, and but that was made it so hard, you know, if you run across there on a soft ground. But very important though that you know, the grounds in those days give a bit. You know, if you went in there and you got your foot stuck, the grass moved with you. Nowadays, it's like an absolute billiard table. You know, if you do that and you go, you know, you get your spike stuck, you're gonna tear something. And that's what a lot of people did at the Subiaco Oval. You know, because it was such a billiard table type, you know, presentation of the ground that it didn't give with you. And of course, we never had many ACLs or anything like that in the 80s or 90s. So it was only later when they tried to pristine up the grounds.
Yeah.
That and of course they only played one game on them. You see, that's why they wanted the ground in great condition.
Yep.
All right, Buzz. I think it's getting late. It's 9 o'clock.
Is it? Oh, jeez, I didn't know. Yeah, so when you're having fun,
we can talk for ages, couldn't we?
Oh, we can talk footy, can't we? That's for sure.
Yeah. So, look, who would be your top three from the weekend?
Top three, Walshy.
Yep.
Sard. I liked the way they played. Yeah, and the back line again. There was a couple in the back line. Doc. Jonesy always plays well. I really admire Jonesy
I
because
love Jonesy.
He could have given it away a couple of years ago, and I saw him actually play at the Western Bulldogs, and I thought to myself, gosh, what are we going after him for? But he's turned his life around. In the back line, and geez, he can take a great grab too. One day he's going to take an absolute screamer, and I'm going to be the first one there to congratulate him because. He does take a great mark now, but
then Silvio can draw it up for him.
Then Silvio can do it. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, my top three for the weekend was 3 for Walsh,
yep,
2 for Doc,
yep,
and 1 for Big H for still kicking 3.
Plugging on. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to second that. That's my top 3.
Well said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bit of guts, bit of ticker.
Yeah, bit of ticker. We love a bit of ticker, and they're always going to get points.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
And so like I mentioned, guys, if you're keen to buy a print, please connect up with Carlton Live, myself, if you're connected on Facebook,
we'll
Frank,
get it to you.
or Buzz,
yeah,
or JR, or Trev, we'll make it happen. Absolutely make it happen. And Giselle said, don't go. She's enjoying this.
She's enjoying it, is she?
And thank you for joining us, Giselle.
How old is Giselle?
I don't know.
Because I want to know if she's elderly and she remembers all the great times, or whether she's a youngster looking forward for the good times with the Blues. So.
Look, I bit of both. I'm a bit of column A, column B.
Yes.
I grew up with the house up and about all the time because Carlton's had another win.
Yeah.
And for most of my young years, that's what happened.
Yeah.
There we go. Giselle's 55.
Oh, there you go. She's remembered the old days.
She's a little bit older than me.
Yeah. My grandparents.
Not much. Just a little bit, Giselle.
My grandparents were North Melbourne and Carlton.
Okay.
And in those days, Frank, they were bitter rivals.
And North Melbourne played good footy.
Now, if you remember a bloke called Brett Allison, now Brett's my full cousin.
Right.
My mother was my Uncle Tom's sister. And she's going through a bit of a hard time at the moment. Mother, I think I've got a couple of beeps there through there, and I just hope my mother's out of operation now, and all went well. But fingers crossed there. But they were the ones that were mad. They were absolutely mad. They wouldn't talk to each other when North Melbourne and Carlton played because one had to lose, of course, and the other one had to get the tea and all that sort of thing. That's how people in those days, Simone. That's how they treated their footy.
Yes.
It was a religion. And that's the first thing that I noticed when I went to Melbourne, that it was a religion.
It is.
And everyone loved their footy, and you always had a team to follow. And sometimes they were different sides.
Yeah, they were different clubs. Well, I tell you what, Buzz, I've said to my beautiful wife many times, if she was a Collingwood supporter, there was never a second date. And she's the best woman in my life.
There you go.
She's an absolute stunner, but I hate Collingwood so much. They're probably, that is maybe my pig-headedness, but there was not going to be a second date. No way.
I believe him too.
Look, to be fair, your wife has too many teeth for a Collingwood supporter. Giselle would like to say, Pete, I remember you, Buzz, used to follow you around weekly. Oh. So she was your number one fan.
Oh, that's great. We get a lot of people like that, and people go through hard times, Frank, and I think people remember you for the memories and the things that you do for them. As I mentioned before, a lot of people are supporting me because they say, Buzz, you gave us a lot of great memories.
Yeah.
And I'm still very passionate about Carlton. You can probably tell that,
Yeah.
And I want, and I've I think I said to Simone before, I've had to buy 3 TVs the last 3 weeks because they're throwing the remote at the back. You know, so, that's right. You know, but you know, the passion's still there, and you know, you probably have picked up too. There's a roast for me in July.
Yes.
Carlton.
What's the date of that again?
The 23rd of July.
23rd of July.
Yep. And that's at the 001 Carlton, which is in the part of Carlton.
Yep.
And a couple of Carlton supporters, plus these cheer squads putting that on for me. And the beauty of it there is that a lot of the past players are coming along and they're committed to it already. And that's really, that makes me feel really good.
Yeah. Who can people contact to get along to that if they're in Victoria?
Another mad Carlton person called Goz Margetta. Yes. I'll send that through to you, the flyer.
I've got a copy.
You've got it? Oh, great.
Yep.
Yeah,
I haven't got one to put up.
I think there's 15 or 18 tables sold already.
Wow.
So they're in tables of 10. I think they've only putting 300 in there, which is fantastic for me. I can't believe it. I just thought it's been cancelled twice though with the COVID, of course, you know. But it really makes me feel great. You know, the beauty of this is that I think I mentioned to you this at our coffee we had. You know, the one that I'm really you know, sad for is my wife.
Yes.
She's had nothing to do with the things that happened in there, and she doesn't deserve it. We've lost all that money without, you know, with her. She had all those beautiful homes and all that sort of thing, and a bit sentimental now. But you know, it's really hard that you know, you talk about you know, your wife supporting you, and my wife probably should have left me buddy 35 times the last 40 years. The stupid things I've done, and David Parkin often says that you're still with him. You know, so you know, it just gets to the fact that you know, people support you in tough times, and you know, and you, Simone, you've supported me with Mum and Frank as well, and I really appreciate it. That's why I really wanted to come along and do this for you, because you support me, and you know, I'll support people that do that.
That's what Baggers are. We're a community.
Yep.
Well, we're a family.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Carlton people are a family, and I've often said this to Jeff Southby and Alex Marcoux. They run the Spirit of Carlton, of course, which is the past players, and you know, they're all coming. They're booking tables and that sort of thing at the roast, and it's fantastic. And that's why I'm you know, really happy you're talking about the old days, because you know, those people are still very, very, very. When you go and see them 12 months or 18 months later, you think you've only saw them 3 or 4 weeks ago.
And all the memories come flooding back.
And the memories coming back. The marks get higher, and the goals get better, you know. So you know what it's like. You know,
so, no, you're quite right. And as Giselle agrees, we're the Carlton family, and whether you're a supporter or a premiership champion,
we're all in it, aren't we?
Like yourself,
we're all in it.
We're all in there for the navy blue.
That's for sure. The dark navy blues. You know?
So let's finish up with how we're going to finish up against Hawthorn next week.
Oh, look, I think we've got to leave no stone unturned. I mean, we've got to leave no stone unturned, and that's what's going to be all about. You know, we could probably start our football off. I think we've got a bye in a couple of weeks' time, which will be good. We can rest all those young fellas, you know, that we can do, and we can rest the sore bodies, and you know, just finish the season off good. And you know, and as we've said before, we haven't had a full complement of our players in for the last, you know, 2, 3, 4 years. You know, Marchbank's another one we've forgotten about. You know, and Curnow looks like he's pretty close. Brody Kent is very close. He's playing this week in the twos, I'd imagine. You know, the Kennedys and the Setterfields, who's back in now. You know, all those sort of players. Jack Martin, you know, Sauce Jr. You know, these sort of guys have got to come back in, and then we'll see. Then we can make a decision on whether, you know, what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. So we've just got to be patient. I know that we're not patient because, you know, we want success.
It's hard.
And it's hard.
Yep,
exactly.
But, well, it's been 20 years. We're hanging out.
For sure.
So what are our predictions? Are we beating Hawthorn by how much?
Yeah, we'll beat Hawthorn
by panels. Panels are fencing.
Panels are fencing. Length of them 6 straight.
6 or 7 goals at least.
And who's kicking the first goal?
Eddie.
Eddie Betts?
Yeah, Eddie Betts.
Eddie Betts. Beautiful. With one of his specials.
With one of his little...
Hopefully he goes in the air and not along the ground.
That's right.
Look, and guys, before we wrap it up, I just want to remind you that if you're keen to buy a picture of the wonderful Buzz, Peter Bazzasto,
or myself, no,
please get in contact. Absolutely, we would love to connect you up so you can get one of these beautiful prints that's adorning my bar that may not make it in Buzz's car. And any last thoughts, Buzz?
No, look, I'm just thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking about the old days. I know the WA Blue Baggers have, have often asked me to go to a couple of functions, which I haven't been able to get to, but they love the old stories as well as everyone. And, we love talking about the old days. We love talking about the, the history that we've got in the club. And, we mentioned it just then, we're a family. We're a family. We're the Dark Navy Blues, and we stick together. I think that's a big part of it. And, I still, I live in Mandurah, and I still go through the Mandurah Forum there, and lots of people have got Carlton jackets on and Carlton T-shirts, Frank. So, we still are a revered club, and it'd be great now. It'd be great now to have a little bit of success over the next couple of weeks. Flick the switch, exactly. And let's show these couple of clubs, because we have played the top sides.
Yeah.
We played this top sides, and we said it before, didn't we?
Yep.
We haven't been belted by them. Now it's time to take on a lower side and really,
let's go and get those 4 points.
Let's get the 4 points.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, just to wrap up, as a couple of guys have said, love reminiscing. We keep our ends up, don't we?
That's it. That's
what we do. Yeah.
And Georgia said, "Go Blues," and I think that's probably a great point to finish.
We can finish up.
Sums it up. Yep.
So go Blues. Let's hope we're up and about next week. 4 points Monday night. Western Bar, Carlton Live, back here.
The Western Buzz Bar.
The Western Buzz Bar. We're going to have to call it the Western.
No, Western.
That means you're going to have to come back every week.
Western Simone Bar. Yeah,
all right, guys. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed your company, and
absolutely.
we really appreciate you guys coming on.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Go
Cheers.
Blues.
Go Blues.